it's time to get prepared. It's been time to get prepared for Christmas, but um, here we go. Guilt and shame. Okay. Uh, we all have varying degrees of guilt and shame, and there is nothing good. Let me rephrase that. There is nothing preferable that comes out of those two emotions. Okay. And I'll give you a couple of examples and then what you can do about it. And my main goal is always giving you practical things, the simplest, most practical things to help you get what you want. Okay. Because in my own experience, the simpler and the more practical, the higher chance I actually get what I want. Concepts are great, but if you cannot make those concepts practical, then it doesn't matter. And the same goes for nutrition and training and everything and so on and so forth. So now the reason I bring this up, this topic of shame and guilt, is because I was speaking to a client, and he's going through some things. He's had this business and he doesn't want to do it anymore, but he feels guilty and ashamed, and there's a bunch of other stuff that he wants to move on when he feels like the business has done so much for him, etc. But it's ruining his life. Now, here's a couple of observations to make. If you look around in your own life and see what happens when you feel guilty and just ashamed, what actually happens? Why do we feel this? Like, a lot of times, it might be even like with parents and stuff. I'll give you some examples. Like, all right, well, I want to be a good boy and I don't want to make my parents look bad. Or, maybe, my parents said something when I was little, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. We're not going into, oh, why did this happen? How did it happen? And inner child, this and that. We're not going to go into that because that doesn't exist. Only right now exists. And if you have a tool or an opportunity to change something right now, why would you not do that? And instead just spend time digging up the past, which also doesn't exist. So for me, there was always this shame and guilt, and I've made mistakes, many mistakes, big mistakes, small mistakes, and I would always have a lot of guilt. And what ends up happening from that? Nothing good. So even with my parents and people in my life that I'm like, I love these people, I want the best for them, and I want to do good things for them. Well, when you're holding on to all this guilt, that doesn't happen. And you feel there's resentment there's anger, you treat people differently, even if you're trying not to, or even if you're putting on a fake smile and pretending, people can feel it. So the first most practical thing I'm going to tell you is, just no guilt, no shame. I don't care what I have done. I know I'm a good person. I know I'm an amazing person. I am the best person. And I will not hear anything in opposition to that, right? This doesn't mean you need to go around telling people like this and then treating people disrespectfully, but it's more of your conversation in your head. A lot of times we have this conversation that's going on in our heads about, man, I'm a piece of shit, like I'm a fucking loser, I can't believe I did this to myself, I ruined this, I ruined that. No, we stop that immediately and we start to replace it. Because look, I'm gonna say these things, and people will generally think like, oh, but like I'm asking them to do something new. No. You are already doing this. You are doing this. You are repeating things in the opposite direction of what you want. So you are actively doing this all day. There's various numbers like 60 to 90,000 thoughts every day, and 90% plus of them are negative, right? So you're doing this right now in opposition to yourself. And so first thing we go is anytime we see and notice these emotions, we say, no, I refuse. And then we pick what we want to experience. We select what is preferred. I am the best. I have loving relationships. Everything is always working out for me, right? So those are some of the practical things, and you can apply that to whatever. Like, so for example, maybe you just struggled with losing fat your entire life, and you're like, man, I'm such a piece. And I've heard people tell me this, like, they think, I'm like, I want to know what is going on in your head, and what is the conversation and continuous thoughts. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a fat piece of shit. Piece of shit. I can't do this. Okay, so, all right, what you're going to do instead, look, your body coming out of, we've talked about this, and I want to, the body comes out of the behaviors. The behaviors come out of the beliefs. Beliefs are just thoughts you keep thinking over and over again. So you are thinking thoughts all day, every day, and they are not helping you. Okay. So now you're going to say, fuck that. You're going to say no. You're going to start, you don't change the body by trying to change the body. You change the body by changing the behaviors, but you don't change behaviors at the level of behavior. You change it at of beliefs. And the way to do that, this is where the practical side comes in, because most people will be like, I don't know how to change a belief. Well, I just told you. You start thinking different thoughts repeatedly. So you start saying, I have an amazing body. I have a healthy lifestyle. I work out, I eat right. I always hit my macros. I always hit my calories. No matter what, I always get a good workout in, and I feel invigorated. I feel vigorous. I feel virile. I feel strong. I feel athletic. You keep repeating that. And okay, here's where you get tripped up. People will say, well, and they look in the mirror and they go, well, that's not what I'm seeing. What the fuck? Okay, well, at some point, we're not 50 pounds overweight. And you had negative thoughts that you kept repeating, and those led to the behaviors of overeating, drinking, not working out. And then you became that. Okay. So don't worry about what you see in your reality at the moment. That's not real. Okay. What is actually real is your being. Like what you are being, that is what is real. Okay. Everything else comes out of that. So you start saying those things every time you start feeling, and it will take practice. It will take, it can take no time. It can work. It can start working immediately. But then when you see the old reality and the old situations that you have created come up, and by the way, this belief you have currently, it has a lot of momentum going on. It's got a lot of strength. So we know it's going to pop up, but every time it does, we repeat the thing that we want. And you keep doing that. I've had people tell me literally in the first day, the first week, they're like, man, I went to the gym every day. I didn't even force myself, because you're starting to change what you're being. You're starting to change those beliefs, and the behaviors are automatic for that person. Get people in your life, including yourself, and go, the people who always complain about how hard it is, and they're just always bitching and complaining about their body, do they ever become a healthy, lean, fit person? No, they don't, unless they do this. And then same thing goes for the other side. You have people who are always in shape, they're always working out,
They don't ever say, oh, it's hard to work out. They're saying something completely different. So that's what you're going to start to say and start to think. And you're not going to hang around and entertain conversations about how it's difficult. You're going to be around people like the Burrito Mafia, like positive, encouraging, wholesome, right? And you're going to cultivate those environments because those cultivate those new beliefs, right? And so this is why I created the Burrito Mafia, because I want that for myself. I want an environment where people are positive, encouraging, and they always find ways to work out and do this and do that and find ways to eat eat well no matter what's going on. And you're going to apply this to everything that you don't prefer in your life. And again, in these situations, you're going to come up if there's anxiety or stress with like relationships or family things or people that you know, you don't have to fight them in the real world. You don't have to tell them what you're doing. This, because that does not matter. What matters is what's going on within all the time. Okay. And if you can do that and not be thrown off by what you will encounter, you will notice things start to shift, right? Because remember, all of the things affect everything. Work stress affects your ability to work out because then you're like, oh, I'm always tired. I don't care. I will choose the reality I want to live, and I will choose the preferred state of being over and over and over and over again. So, yeah, we could talk about technical things, nutrition things, tactics, training things, but those are all secondary to the psychology, to the what you're being, right? We don't get what we say we want, we get what we are being. And if you think about it, like how beautiful and simple is that? You just start saying the thing to yourself. I've started doing this. I like with my body. I've done it for a long time, but there's other areas of my life where I started doing this, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna acknowledge this. I'm not gonna acknowledge it. Other than the fact that I'm gonna say use this to select what I want. Even whether whatever religion you look at or scripture or spiritual teaching, you go in the Bible. One of my favorite lines is, "Let the weak man say, I am strong." All right. We're going to leave it at that. If you want to join the Burrito Mafia, go to school.com/burrito diet. School, SKOOL, $35 a month. Put yourself in the right environment. People spend 35 bucks on the dumbest things. Spend money on something that will change your life and be around good people, wholesome people, right? I started doing this thing, wholesome Wednesdays and wholesome weekends, right? For this purpose. Do it.